All right, welcome back to Relocation Serbia. Today we are going to be talking to Carlos Rodriguez. He is a gentleman that was born in Spain, moved to Venezuela, lived in Canada, and ironically, he was here in Serbia a couple weeks ago. And we got to connect here in Novi Sad after he came in through Bulgaria and spent some time in Belgrade and then came to Novi Sad before he continued on his journey. Thank you, Carlos, for joining me today. I hope that the weather in Canada is treating you well, but from what I hear, it's pretty cold out there.
Dobre večer, Andre. Yeah, uh, it's pretty cold. I got back a couple of days ago from my Europe trip, and it's pretty cold. But in a couple of days, we're going to get one of those chinooks when the temperature goes above zero. So we're all keeping our fingers crossed here. So
Yeah, that's what the Alberta's famous for the weather to go up, and spring is around the corner, which is nice. And I don't want to rub it in. I know next week we're getting up to about 18 degrees here, so
oh God, yes,
we'll try and send some of that hot weather or warmer weather to you as well.
please do.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know you've traveled all around the world. You've spent some time in Canada. When we connected, also you mentioned also you lived in Poland for a little bit. Coming and being that Poland's also like on the eastern side of Europe, how do you compare the lifestyles and cultures between Poland and Serbia from the little bit that you've spent here?
Yeah, absolutely. So I lived in Poland because I'm a dual citizen, right? I'm Canadian and I'm European from
Hmm.
Spain.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have the advantage of I can travel through the EU freely. So my brother lives in Poland, and so a few years ago I went on an adventure and moved to Poland for a little bit, and it's a lovely place.
Hmm.
Uh, you can tell it's on the rise economically
Hmm.
and technologically, and it's really great. Now, I've always been interested in Serbia, and I was interested in Bulgaria as well. So that's why this time around I went to check it out. And now in Serbia, the difference that I find, like culturally, I mean, they got a lot of similarities, as
Hmm.
in, obviously it's both like the Slavic languages,
That's right.
little similarities with the language, but obviously, the different. But because I learned to speak a little bit of Polish, I could kind of understand and pick up some words and things of
Hmm.
Serbian. And I mean, the culture was like, people are just just normal. You can tell that people are just normal, a very people are very chill, very well mannered, very like reserved, and but obviously once you get to know them, uh they can be really friendly, right? Like see, what I like to describe Slavic people as is like they're like an avocado. You got like that hard shell, but then
Yeah.
you got that mushy middle once you meet them.
Yeah. Yeah.
um yeah, so I mean, I did find, other than the for example, the food in Serbia, like in the Balkans in general, was that a little bit different. I found like a little bit more flavor and diversity,
Hmm.
as in with the Polish food. Nothing wrong with it, but it was a little more, I would say, and without any disrespect to Poland or Polish food, because I ate it all the time.
Yeah.
It was just a little bit more plain,
Okay.
but I mean, it was different, but nothing wrong with it. And what I found in different is, like, for example, in Poland, the weather was a little bit grayer. Like in Serbia, when I was there for 4 days, and man, it was just like sunny and nice the whole time. It wasn't really that cold. It was a little crisp because it's winter.
Of
And also,
course.
what I find is, like, in Serbia, there's a little bit more of like more. brunette people, and in Poland, there's a little more
Blonde.
blonde-haired
Yeah,
people.
totally. I can
But
understand
yeah,
that.
really interesting contrast, and some similarities, some differences. But yeah, really cool, really cool. I really love that side of the world. So.
All right, so that was great when you talked about Poland and Serbia. And so, what made you curious about coming to check out Serbia when you did? I know you came through Bulgaria and then into Belgrade through bus. What was that experience like, and what actually brought you to Serbia?
Yeah, well, I mean, with long story short, with obviously how things are in the West right now, not only North America, but also in like Western Europe.
Yep.
Like I tried to live in Spain for a bit, and I mean, it's just overpopulated, overcrowded, all the problems of Western society. They're everywhere, but it seems like when you pass that line from like Germany, Poland, or like kind of like Slovenia down there towards the east, things just it's just a total different world. I've always been fascinated with Central and Eastern Europe. So I had a few places in my radar, right? And after living in Poland for a bit, I was just okay, what other places are there that kind of match what I'm looking for, which is obviously affordability, uh, normality,
Yep.
and maybe a little bit of fair weather.
Yeah.
So Bulgaria was on my list because, well, it's easier for me because Bulgaria is part of the EU,
Hmm.
and it's a very affordable country. It's on the rise economically as well. I mean, you can tell that you're having like a lot of construction going on, nice buildings. Kind of like the technological sector. The services are starting to get a little bit better. It has snow. It has a coastline with some beach. It's got a little bit of everything. So I went and explored there for a bit, and then also it's Serbia because I have I have a few Serbian friends, and they're super cool people. And they obviously they're really proud people.
Yes, we're
Like
very
they're
patriotic.
really exactly they're really proud of their country, and also like I know people that moved to Canada, Serbians that moved to Canada. I had a business here, made their money, and like recently they moved back because they're just like, we can't afford things in here anymore, and like the whole culture, everything has changed. This is not the Canada we know, so they're moving back. So I've always been that really interested. Now the problem with me personally, like the Serbia thing is that it's not part of the EU, so it's kind of that's the only thing that was kind of like okay, well, but let's go check it out. And so yeah, I've heard really great things about Belgrade, really good things about Novi Sad. So I said, you know what, let's go check it out. And yeah, it interests me just for the reasons I talked about before. It's affordability, a little sense of like normality. Yeah, of course, it's got its problems. I understand no country is perfect.
Yep.
No
Exactly.
country is perfect. But I mean, it doesn't seem to have Western problems, you
Yeah.
know.
And
And
go ahead.
yeah, exactly. So I'm just listen. I'm a young adult. I'm in my early 40s, and I've been living in Canada for about almost 20 years. I'm a proud Canadian citizen. I love Canada, but it's changed, and I am looking into other options, and I have a very realistic view of my future, which is I'd like to live somewhere that is affordable, where I can start a family, and
Hmm.
where I can learn a new language. So that's why I'm constantly on the search.
Hmm.
I did Poland. I really wanted to stay, but after living there, I just keeping my options open, right? So
Of course.
yeah.
Yeah, you,
Mhm.
you just quickly you brought something to mind, and you said that Canada's not what it used to be. And, I get a lot of comments from people that are watching my channel that are here in Serbia, and then a lot of people that are from Canada that don't know much about Serbia because a lot of people, just have not been taught about, even the geographical location about Serbia. But what is it that is different from what Canada is now, or what's changed in Canada to what actually is appealing to you about here in Serbia?
No, absolutely. Well, first of all, it's funny when you mention about like people. A lot of people don't know the geographical location of Serbia. It's funny because a lot of my friends, when I told them I was going to Serbia for vacation, it's
Yeah.
explore. They're like, "Oh, you're going to Siberia? Why are you going there?" And it's like, "No, dude, it's not Siberia. It's Serbia." So where is that? And it's like I had to actually pull a map and be like, "Look, it's the Balkans. It's like it's
Yeah.
in Europe at the end of your." Anyway, it's funny. But yeah, as for what I notice about the changes in Canada is like, where do I start? Well, when I first moved here, man, I moved. I was born in Spain. I grew up in Venezuela in South America, and then when Venezuela just kind of the economical situation and political everything went down the drain. I was gonna move to Europe and use my Spanish passport, and so I said, okay, well, I'm gonna move to Europe, and I ended up luckily getting into an audio engineering career degree here many years ago. So I came over and tried it out. I did my degree, and then I got hired by a company, and I stayed here. Right? I got work permits, PR. 10 years after I did my citizenship. When I came here, it was like paradise. It was affordable. I remember I was renting a room. It was four of us in a house in Kelowna.
Yeah, British Columbia.
Yeah, so and it was four of us students in this mansion near the Center of Arts and Technology, and it was massive. It had 3 bathrooms, 4 bedrooms, and we were paying $375 a month each.
Yeah,
all in.
That's awesome.
Right?
Really
yeah,
good.
you didn't see people in the streets living in tents. You didn't see all this madness of people just. It was just different, man. Like I remember you could leave your vehicle unlocked at night, and it was just a different thing. So it's been changing, and just a couple of years before the whole COVID. Am I allowed to say COVID?
Oh
Pandemic?
yeah, for sure, absolutely.
Okay. After just a couple of years before the whole pandemic thing happened, I already started just kind of looking around and being like, wow, rents have skyrocketed. Like to purchase a property here is so insane. If you wanted to start a business here, I mean, you have to be pretty much rich, or if you get a loan, you're paying for it for the rest of your life. This is, and then the whole, the whole woke crazy stuff and the whole feminism.
That's right.
It's like, listen, I live and let live. Do your thing, but don't shove it down my throat, right? And it's just like all in your face and all, and just the government outreach, right? Like all the power that the government. So after COVID, the whole pandemic thing happened. I just kind of made up my mind and said, yeah, no, this is, as much as I love this place, unfortunately, it is just not the place I want to be anymore. So I started doing the research, and obviously that side of the world of Central Europe, Eastern Europe, it still hasn't been in some places there. You can notice there is some Western characteristics, and but still pretty untouched over there, right? Like, women are women, men are men. A lot of places are affordable. All of this stuff, and yeah. Um, Also, it's not only economically and like political, but also like cultural, right? Like now in Canada, it's just like, for example, not having children is heavily promoted,
Yes,
and
unfortunately.
it's totally the opposite of like Serbia or like Poland or like the governments are like have kids, and like if for example on that in that side of the world, when I was in Poland and when people date with a purpose. People date to get married and to have or like to have a family. And like when in here in Canada, man, it's just a disaster, right? It's all like it's all this hookup culture. It's just a mess, right? So
Totally. No, I can
exactly.
understand
So
that.
exactly. So those are the difference I've seen and the way I've seen Canada changing. And yeah, man. Not only that, the food here, all the pesticides, all the it's so different. Like the food in most of Europe tastes so much different. It's got so much flavor. It's got so many things. I mean, I could
Yeah.
go forever about it, right? So
Yeah, when we made that comment when we went out for lunch when I picked you up that day, and we talked about tomatoes and how
yeah,
tomatoes are all mushy in Canada and there's no flavor
yeah,
to them, and here they're actually like good to eat, which
yeah,
that
yeah.
is one fruit or one
Re-
vegetable, should I say?
Yeah, remember I told you like when I lived in Poland, I would go to like the kind of like the local market and buy a handful of vegetables, handful of fruit. I had to eat them within 4 days, 3, 4 days, five tops.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's spoiled. Here, I had a tomato in my fridge for almost a month, and that thing looked exactly as I pulled it out of the store. I didn't even eat it, man. I threw
Yeah.
it away. I'm like, this thing is not made of like this is like made of styrofoam or something. I'm not, it's just yeah, lots of differences.
For sure. And what was like and then besides the food and all that, what was your first impressions of Belgrade and Novi Sad? Like, because you know, people still think it's war torn, and there's bread lines here, and how do you compare the lifestyle here compared to what the lifestyle is, and or just the architecture, or what was your first impressions? And then I got like one more question, two more, and kind of tell the viewers what's on that.
Yeah, no worries. No, absolutely. Well, obviously, with the architecture, it's absolutely mind blowing. Like there's all types of architecture. It's so interesting. It's such a good looking city. Same with Novi Sad. Obviously, Canada is such a young country that here. I mean, you walk around Vancouver or like Calgary, and it's all like glass and metal everywhere. It's
Yes,
really
true.
nothing really interesting to see here. I mean, hey, it's got really amazing nature, but when it comes to like architecture, obviously that side of the world is much more interesting.
Hmm.
Also Belgrade, for being like a 1.5 million people city, it just didn't really feel that way. The one thing I did notice is that there's a lot of traffic. A lot of people have
Very
cars,
much.
and during peak hours it could be quite congested.
Yes.
But what I noticed is it's just this chillness in the air. Like I was staying right in the center, and I walked all the way across the center into like the Belgrade Fort and all that, and
Yep.
like people are just chilling, man. They're sitting there, they're drinking coffee, they're taking it all in. It, everybody, it's just like, I mean, I understand it's just like the capital of Belgrade, and there's a little bit of that go 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 sometimes, but
Of course.
nothing like here. Like in Vancouver, it's like, get out of the way, I'm not talking to you. Like it's just like you're just like, dude. Like, I mean, I get it. It's a city life, but no, I like the way Belgrade has that waterfront and all these interesting things to see. And I don't know, it doesn't really feel like there's a 1.5 million people the inhabitants in there.
True.
So yeah, no, I really like the vibe.
And how did you like? And how did you like Novi Sad? Because like I know I dropped you off in the downtown there, and you kind of toured yourself just to take
Mhm.
things in. What were your thoughts of that?
Yeah, I really like Novi Sad too. It's so much smaller, but so close to Belgrade. That's what I really liked actually. That is, it's very close to Belgrade. Uh, I found it a little cleaner than Belgrade. Like obviously, like in Belgrade, there's like older buildings and just kind of. And I found it really clean. It's compact, so you got everything you need in Novi Sad. And yeah, and this is like such a walkable city, really pleasant on the eye. Uh,
For sure.
uh, just really awesome and chill. I really liked it. You
Yeah,
know,
and you got to take that high speed train, or was it the high speed train, or did you make the stops along the way to go to Novi Sad?
I think I did the stops along the
Okay.
way, but I mean the trains were mint, were
Yeah.
like so great. I mean, you go here in Calgary and take transit. You take
The
the
C
train
train.
here. Yeah, you take the train here sometimes, and sometimes they put these wagons that they are like a Soviet wagon that is all like rusty and falling apart. And I'm
Yeah.
like, wow, you do not see this basically in like Eastern Europe anywhere. I mean, in some spots like in Bulgaria or in like Riga or in like Budapest, I remember you got the old tram, but
Yeah.
I think those are more for like kind of tourist looking or like to just keep that Eastern European kind of like essence.
Yeah.
But here they're just yeah, I was just really surprised with the all the trains on that side of the world, like top of the line, clean, modern, and I also like that contrast because then you could go and sit in like a really like OG, really cool, old school like Soviet tram, which is
Yeah. Totally.
awesome too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well they also have that tram system also in Belgrade that's driving on the roads there also, which is the old school ones. Which like again, I like that too because it keeps it
Yeah,
old school too.
totally.
But
Yeah.
that's interesting that you said that. But no, that's great. And so you know, I know like you're still debating on if you're moving to Serbia. I know you also mentioned to you that you're gonna go and check out Russia as well in the near future. But you know, if someone was considering to move to Serbia, what would be a piece of advice that you would give them?
Yeah. So, but I have a couple of places in my radar. So in my radar, there was Bulgaria, there was Serbia, and there was Russia.
Hmm.
Uh, Probably a lot of people be asking like why Russia, but I mean I can go into that and we be here forever, so I'm not gonna do that. But anyway, it's just right now it's just I find it interesting, and so in a few months here I'm just gonna go take a look at St. Petersburg and Moscow and see what's up. But yeah, so far I really liked Serbia. What would I advise the people that wants to move to Serbia? Well, first of all, do a little research
Of
because
course.
obviously it is a total different world from the West. Uh,
True.
uh, Also, have an open mind because like for me, I lived in Eastern Europe. I've lived in Poland. I've been on that side of the world a lot, so I understand the culture. Like, but for a lot of people, especially from North America, it can be a little bit of a shock. So have an open mind, uh, but learn a little bit of the language as well. Locals really, it's like a total different world when you are at least trying.
Very
You
much.
know and also, especially if they're gonna move to Serbia, to get in touch with you. Because really, when I was looking into going in there a couple of months ago, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm just gonna like land there, and then what am I gonna do? I'm gonna explore. I
Yeah.
do have an adventurous spirit. I love doing that, but I was really glad I bumped into your YouTube channel because you're Canadian, and so you understand you're Canadian and Serbian, so you understand things from both sides.
That's right.
the level of service and the level of knowledge that you have, and it's seeing Serbia uh, from your point of view. It makes it really much easy to understand and assimilate, and you definitely do it. You can tell that you do it because you love doing this. It's
right.
your passion, and you have a goal, and you have a goal and a purpose, and you're doing what you're it seems it you can tell that you're doing what you're meant to be doing, right? So I would highly advise that anybody that wants to move to Serbia or has any questions about Serbia or is curious, like, to contact you, because the level of service you give is something that, unfortunately, in the Eastern European countries, you don't really find. You don't really find it. People over there can be like really straightforward and really just kind of like, okay, listen, do this and get out of my face type of thing.
True.
But you really break that barrier, and absolutely.
No, I appreciate that. And just before we wrap up here, we are approaching our half-hour mark. Do you have any? I know you're in the music scene. You're into various things. Do you have any social media accounts? Do you have anything that you want the people watching this video to follow you, or ways that they could get in touch with you if that's something that they'd be interested in?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, with the I have a bunch of side hustles, as we like to call it here in North America. So I've always the side hustles that have allowed me to also travel around a lot and meet different people from all over the world. I do produce music, and I used to be a touring musician. You can find me on Instagram at BagOBeats.0. So that's BAGOBEETZ.0. And there's my music, and like a link to my music page. And also, I started a YouTube channel a little bit ago. It's called The Path of Vibe, and I just make it about a little bit of everything. And with my music, I traveled around. I've been able to play it like all over the world, pretty much. And I know it's got nothing to do with your channel and your relocation services, but who knows? Maybe some of your Serbian crowd, if it is interested, and next time I'm there, I can get booked for a show or whatever.
Definitely.
So
Definitely. Well, Carlos, it was a blessing meeting you when you did come here. I'm glad that you did reach out. I learned a lot about you, and I'm sure you learned a lot about Serbia. I appreciate you coming to this interview today and explain to people that don't know anything about Serbia, about what it is, firsthand experience for someone who's never been to Serbia, about their experience and how they enjoyed it. Hopefully that wasn't the last time we got to see each other in person. I know we can do this virtual thing.
Absolutely not. Like, even though I'm still doing a little bit of research, for example, you can't travel directly from Europe to Russia when I go visit there. So actually, I'm gonna go to Serbia again, because from Serbia I can fly to Moscow, right? So yeah, I'm definitely. It's already in the books, right? You just
Awesome.
go and go stop again and come see you, and man, and go from there. So Serbia is definitely in my radar. Highly recommend your services. Amazing country, amazing food, amazing culture, the amazing women. It's women are so beautiful over there. Great people. Highly recommend.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks a lot, Carlos. Anybody that's interested in checking out Serbia, You know, you heard it firsthand experience. I want to thank everyone that's watched this video. Thanks for watching. If you have not subscribed yet and you want to learn more about Serbia, please subscribe and like this video so that it can get out to those that are wanting this type of information. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.